this is Bill Rawlings, President of School Office Services, and I would like to give you a short introduction to the presentation, School Violence, Independent Schools Aren't Exempt. I will be joined by Suzanne Bogdan, Chair of the Education Practice Group at Fisher & Phillips, and Bill Kesslar, President of Building Solutions. Tragic shootings in schools have placed the issue of workplace violence on the radar screens of private school administrators. We may never know for sure what causes the violence, but we do know that violence can impact any community dramatically. This class will ask you and your administrative team to consider the risk of violence on your campus. Your self-analysis will help you to assess your risk for violence and generate a discussion in this class. The goal of the class is for you to look at your school's security policies, procedures, and training to ensure that you are doing everything possible to avoid or minimize the risk of violence or harm in your community. Here is the structure of the 90-minute presentation. Per the instructions of Steve Robinson at SAIS, this class will not be a lecture on how to address violence. It will require homework on your part. You will be asked to complete a self-audit to assess your risk for potential workplace violence and to review related readings. Both the self-audit and the related readings will be found on the SAIS site. In the first part of the class, the faculty will ask you to share your self-audit and relate experiences where you have implemented your security procedures. The intent is to generate discussion among the participants. In the second part of the class, you will be asked to join a group. We hope you'll bring your administrative team and participate in a tabletop exercise that will simulate an incident of potential violence and put your policies to the test. The security self-audit and related readings will be found on the SAIS website. Simply click on the SAIS Connect button. How can we prepare for an act of violence on campus if we don't know what the act might be? Here are some examples of past tragedies that caught schools unaware of how to respond. In 1998, two young boys, ages 11 and 13, drove to their school in their parents' vans with multiple guns. They set off the fire alarm, ran to nearby woods, and shot their fellow students as they assembled on the playground. In 1999, two heavily armed students entered their high school unopposed, roamed the entire school shooting students for over 60 minutes while the police waited outside. Both the concept of lockdowns and response to active shooters were developed, but only after this tragedy. During 9/11, only one Manhattan private school was affected by the collapse of the trade towers. But for the rest of the Manhattan private schools, and because cell phones and landlines were completely jammed, school administrators could not keep track of students being taken out of school by their parents. In 2007, a small Amish school was attacked by a complete stranger, and small children were shot and killed. There was no apparent motive for the shooting. In 2012, the head of a private school was killed by a teacher terminated earlier in the day. The teacher had displayed no hints of violence prior to the shooting. In each case, the school had not prepared for the particular attack. So if we are threatened with a new emergency, do we just throw up our hands in futility? The answer is no. So what should you do? The security self-audit will help you to plan for the unexpected. The audit is divided into 4 categories. Mitigation and prevention will decrease the need for a response to a violent event. Preparing for a response through planning and training will facilitate its effectiveness. By following your plan and making use of your preparations, you can achieve an effective response to violence. And finally, returning your campus to normal conditions and learning from the experience is essential in successful recovery. Now listen to the other faculty members, Suzanne Bogdan and Bill Keslar, as they give directions to your task of completing the self-audit.
This is Suzanne Bogdan. I'm chair of the Education Practice Group at Fisher & Phillips. It's unfortunate, but in today's society, even independent schools are not immune from the potential of violence in the workplace. The murder of an independent school head in Jacksonville, Florida last year underscored that point. School administrators should use the risk of violence on their campuses to generate discussion within the community and assess what your school's policies, procedures, and training are. I'd like you to review two areas in particular: your hiring processes and your personnel policies. In hiring, you should be using a comprehensive application, a thorough reference check, and a detailed background screening. Review any red flags with your hiring team. Second, you should also be looking at having a policy for zero tolerance of violence, threats, and abusive language, and anything like that should be reported to a centralized team, which includes the head of school. I look forward to seeing you and having an engaging interaction with you at the SAIS MISBO conference in October.
Hello, my name is Bill Kesslar, President of Building Solutions. Among the services we provide to independent schools across the country is security auditing of campus facilities and operations. As with any audit, there is value in having an objective third party probe our weaknesses. Perhaps especially with security, we tend to be unaware of conditions that have become second nature but are significant security vulnerabilities. But even when we have an expert examine our campus, we will be better informed beneficiaries of the examination if we have done a self-audit. In that spirit, we hope you'll review the checklists in the packet and examine your campus prior to the SAIS event in October. The checklist will cause you to consider features of your campus such as building access control, pedestrian traffic flow and reception, and lighting. It will acquaint you with principles such as natural surveillance. We look forward to meeting you in October and having a productive session that will benefit your school.